Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We are undertaking a pretty massive paradigm shift today. We're going to completely redefine the future of aging. We're talking about taking it from this depressing, inevitable story of decline and transforming it into a proactive, empowering pursuit of something called Healthspan and, along with it, real economic vitality. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll unpack the longevity paradox. Then, we'll look at squaring the health curve. From there, we'll scale things up to unleashing the elder army, confront the reality of the health and wealth gap, and finally bring it all back to a personal level with the Centenarian Playbook. All right, Section 1, the longevity paradox. Are we living better or just longer? It's time to fundamentally challenge this old expectation that aging is just some extended passive retirement. There's a critical question pulled directly from a major World Health Organization report that asks exactly this. Are the added years of life actually being lived in good health? Because look, while global life expectancy has jumped massively, literally by 20 years between 1960 and today, simply living longer does not automatically mean you're living better. And that brings us to a brilliant, if slightly sobering concept coined by Dr. Peter Attia called the Marginal Decade. This represents the final years of someone's life, which unfortunately for most people right now are typically characterized by disease, disability, and a really severe diminishment of physical and cognitive function. It's that period where people are suffering from chronic illnesses and, tragically, losing the ability to do the things they actually love doing. To really wrap your head around what this actually feels like, consider Dr. David Sinclair's age suit thought experiment. Just imagine having to put on a restrictive neck brace, heavy lead-lined jackets to simulate what it's like to have weak muscles, earplugs that muffle all your hearing, and thick ski goggles to simulate cataracts. After just a couple of minutes, you'd be absolutely desperate to rip it off. Now imagine wearing that for an entire decade. That is the physical reality of a prolonged, unhealthy old age that we actively want to avoid. Moving on to Section 2, squaring the health curve. We're redefining the medical approach to aging. So how exactly do we avoid getting stuck in that age suit? Well, it requires a massive biological shift. We have to move from a reactive mindset to a proactive extension of our health span. The absolutely crucial point here is the contrast between two paradigms. What Dr. Attia calls Medicine 2.0 basically treats disease late in the game. It essentially drags out our lifespan but prolongs morbidity, meaning it stretches out that miserable marginal decade. On the flip side, Medicine 3.0 is all about proactive intervention. The ultimate goal here is to compress the period of illness at the end of life and create a bonus decade where you're not just surviving, you're actually thriving. What's really mind-blowing is how centenarians, people who live to be 100, achieve this naturally. If you look at a normal aging trajectory, you see this slow decline that suddenly accelerates right around age 60, leading to a long period of suffering. But a centenarian's body tells a totally different story. At age 60, they might literally have the coronary arteries of a 35-year-old. It's practically a phase shift in time. They stay biologically decades younger, and their period of decline at the very end is incredibly compressed and brief. But to get there ourselves, we have to fight off what's known as chronological functional decline. Think about this timeline for a second. Our physical fitness peaks right around age 30. By 50, our VO2 max, which is a key measure of cardiovascular fitness, begins dropping by about 10 to 15% every single decade. Without any intervention, by the time you hit 75, your physical capacity diminishes to roughly 25% of what it used to be. Activities that felt completely effortless in your 30s or 40s become nearly impossible. That is exactly why proactively optimizing your VO2 max and building up the functional strength to carry heavy objects are absolute, non-negotiable metrics for longevity. All right, Section 3, Unleashing the Elder Army. This is the macroeconomic impact of Healthspan. Let's zoom out to the macro level for a minute and completely flip the script on this panicked narrative we always hear about, a silver tsunami. This idea of an old age dependency ratio is actually based on highly ageist assumptions. The US data paints a very clear picture. By 2017, individuals over 55 controlled 70% of all disposable income. Older populations aren't just dependents, they are massive economic engines holding a significant amount of resources. And if we can keep people healthier for longer, the economic benefits are just staggering. Health economists Dana Goldman and David Sinclair modeled this out, and they came up with what is actually a highly conservative estimate, a massive $7 trillion boost to the United States economy alone over 50 years. And that's simply by delaying aging and reducing the diseases associated with it. 7 trillion. Sinclair has a fantastic way of putting this. He says, the peace dividend we will receive from ending our long war on individual diseases will be huge, unleashing the combined intellectual power of men and women currently sidelined. Just imagine a healthy elder army staying in the workforce, mentoring the next generation, volunteering, and providing immense human capital. It completely transforms aging from a societal cost into this incredibly powerful compounding investment. Which brings us to Section 4, the health and wealth gap, the socioeconomic reality of longevity. Now, what's really interesting here, and honestly, a harsh reality we absolutely have to confront, is that right now, the dividends of longevity are fundamentally skewed by socioeconomic status. Having a high socioeconomic status generally means you have a higher peak in intrinsic physical capacity, a much slower functional decline, and access to optimal environments. Conversely, low socioeconomic status is tied to a lower peak capacity, rapid decline, and a cumulative disadvantage across your entire lifespan. Wealth bluntly dictates access to top-tier doctors, the best nutrition, and advanced therapies, which effectively delays the acceleration of aging for the rich, while the poor suffer from it much, much earlier. The World Health Organization detailed several massive barriers to achieving universal longevity. We're talking about severe income and education disparities, social exclusion and marginalization, age discrimination in the workplace, and huge bureaucratic hurdles just to get essential health care. Poverty, a lack of education, and homelessness drastically slash a person's health span and create this vicious, inescapable cycle of cumulative disadvantage. But look, there are real solutions out there. Take the Niner Hausart approach in Austria, for example. Their strategy is brilliant. They literally bring low-threshold healthcare directly into homeless shelters. They actively strip away all those bureaucratic barriers. No appointment wait times, no stressing over missing documents, and they provide holistic, interdisciplinary care. It's a perfect case study showing how health systems can and really must actively intervene to protect access for our most vulnerable and marginalized communities. Section 5, the Centenarian Playbook. Actionable tactics for a longer, better life. Okay, let's bring this all back down to you and me. How do we actually implement these biological and cultural lessons into a personal, actionable plan? Well, we start with a concept straight from the blue zones of Okinawa, Ikigai. It translates directly to the reason for which you wake up in the morning. Having a strong, clear sense of purpose isn't just some nice, fluffy psychological concept. It literally acts as a biological buffer against stress and actively helps reduce your chances of cognitive decline. But there is a huge, vital caveat here. As Dr. Peter Attia realized during his own personal struggles, why would you want to live longer if you're so unhappy? Trading your emotional and relationship health just to optimize your physical health is a deeply flawed strategy. Resolving past trauma, fixing broken relationships, and finding actual, genuine joy are absolutely essential components of the longevity equation. So, bringing it all together, here is your proactive longevity playbook. Cultivate your Ikigai, your core sense of purpose. Find ways to downshift every day to relieve stress. Build strong, resilient social networks, what the Okinawan's call a moai. Physically, you've got to optimize that VO2 max and build functional strength so you can actually enjoy those later years. And finally, focus on your eulogy virtues, meaning how people will remember you, rather than just your resume virtues. This is your holistic menu for optimizing a truly fulfilling life. Which leaves us with this final, absolutely critical question. What does your end game look like? And what exactly are you doing today to ensure it's a bonus decade instead of a marginal decade? The future of your health span really is in your own hands. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Now it's time to get out there and build your bonus decade.